and the end of the chisel was like just shattered.
It's a lot of things that woodpreneurs don't realize is how much is actually in their backyard.
How does a woodworker go from just working out of their garage to then being able to take that leap to actually get a commercial space?
You need to make sure that you are speaking to an audience, and your audience needs to understand your mission, your vision, your values.
One thing that I love doing about woodworking is turning like something that could be potentially useless and turning it into something beautiful and practical.
Focus on dining tables, focus on business owners, focus on the people that are serving your customers. All you have to do is just send 50 messages a day. Hey, welcome to a brand new episode of the Woodpreneur podcast. It's your host, Steve. Today's guest is Ben Adams from Ben Adams Studio. Welcome, Ben.
Thanks very much, Steve. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm excited to have you on. You are our inaugural first Australian on the podcast. Yeah. We are growing. That's awesome. That's awesome. So tell everybody tell us about your journey. How did you start?
Well, I've always been a maker, just like, knocking things up in my garage, and my grandfather had a big shed, so just from a really young age I used to love making things, and obviously did that in school. But I didn't actually originally go into a woodworking career. To begin with, I started a business degree but had absolutely no interest in it, because it was just something I was doing to fill in time while I figured out what I really wanted to do. And then I made the plunge to actually study theatre. So I've come from a performing arts background. I studied theatre for probably 5 years or so, like dance and then musical theatre. And during that whole time, the woodworking and making things in my shed was kind of an outlet that I would love to do on the weekends and on holidays, particularly around Christmas time. And I still have this kind of tradition that I'll book out 1 or 2 weeks leading up to Christmas to make Christmas presents for all my family and friends. And so that was that was almost my training, I guess. Every year I would spend at least 2 weeks on this skill, making all sorts of different things. So that kind of kept my love of woodworking and furniture making alive while I was studying. And when I moved to Melbourne, which is one of the, like the second biggest city in Australia, which has got a really big art scene. And so I moved there to be a performer, and I had a career as a performing arts, musical theatre performer and actor. I toured Australia and went to the Middle East and Singapore and stuff, acting and performing. And every time that I would go home for holidays, I would love to get into the workshop and make stuff. So eventually I found a reason to come and move back to my parents' home. So I'm living with my parents now. And the reason why I came back was actually to study a master's in performing arts. So I've kind of kept this career of performing arts going for quite a while. But it was only probably during COVID that the performing arts industry here kind of just shut down. And I was able to earn money as a barista and doing sort of the odd labouring jobs. And my parents also just started a wedding business, so there was a lot of work for me trying to build
stuff for that, right?
Like decks and landscaping and that kind of stuff. So that kind of sustained me for that period. But it really it cemented that love of making things and building stuff and actually using my hands. So it kind of felt like I was coasting along at that point in my life, and I really thought, if I wanted to actually, earn enough money to buy a house or start a family or something, I'm going to need to earn more than just what I make as a barista, or even
Mm-hmm.
the sporadic performing arts work that came in. So I made a decision. I was either going to become a laborer, like a chippy or a carpenter, um, or actually start my own business. And I'd always been
Yeah.
making things for people, just like unofficially, just as myself, not
Yeah.
actually, as a business. But I decided then, around the time that COVID was kind of at its peak, that I would actually, I made a logo and got shirts made, and thought about making a website. And so that was kind of the first steps towards building the business. But I didn't actually like fully commit to it until about 2 years ago,
Yeah.
uh, when I actually fully like built a full website. My sister is has a marketing company herself. Her and her husband run.
Yeah.
So their very first employee, I asked if she would like be my social media manager, and that was
Cool.
the turning point where it became just more of more of a business rather than a hobby.
For
And
sure.
yeah, because I knew marketing was probably the thing that I was least comfortable with, or least knew the least about. I could
Mm-hmm.
make all the stuff, but to be able to sell it was a whole nother thing. So yeah, that social media manager sort of kicked off my Instagram, and then I took over. I just wasn't able to earn enough money to justify um, uh, keeping the social media manager on. So then about 6 months ago, I took over the Instagram myself, and it's just been growing from there.
Yeah.
And yeah, each like every 6 months, there's always some kind of a milestone that where my business seems to step up just another gear. I'm still very,
Mm-hmm.
very small scale at the moment. I'm only really
Yeah.
fully like properly full time, in the last couple of months, really, because I've still got the odd uh, work as a barista. That I've got this great casual relationship with a cafe where if they
Yeah.
need
Whenever you
someone to
need.
come in, yeah, exactly. So it's really good to have that diverse cash flow for when the times in the business are a bit slow. I've still got performing arts to draw from, and the baristaing to to earn a bit of money from. But yeah, that's kind
That's
of
cool.
where I started and where I am now.
What's your main product that you build for clients?
There's it's I try to think about this, and like it varies so much. But I have done quite a few dining tables, and I like to do dining tables.
Yeah.
But there's people who have asked for like candle holders, record consoles, bowls. I was making some bowls for a business that sold kava, which is a drink.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Is kava
yeah,
popular in Australia?
um, it's only just been legalized here, so you're allowed to
Uh-huh.
bring in a little bit, like on a plane when you came back from Vanuatu for holidays or something. But now, it's only just been able to, like, you're able to distribute it. So this company here in Queensland needed some kind of extra stuff for their business, and approached me to make some bowls.
Cool.
So that's a new business. But yeah, I've made anything from like couches, trophies, and uh, I do a bit of blacksmithing, so like bottle openers.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, there's it's fairly broad, but especially recently, I've tried to niche down to
Yeah.
furniture making being my main thing.
You know what's fascinating? You were literally one of the third people that as a that came from a background of performing arts.
Oh, really? Yeah,
That
I notice a lot of musicians end up being woodworkers.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And and I'm collaborating with this woodworker now who's like, a voice artist, and the only other people that have like uh become woodworkers or makers, furniture designers, it's usually like engineers because then like their brain, it is a kind of like a similar brain.
Mm,
um and yeah, engineers, and I think just overall tradespeople, but like builders, people that build stuff, that are looking for more of a creative outlet as opposed to that, and then engineers, technical people who are looking for creative outlet, and then you're a creative person anyway, so it's like another form of creativity, leveraging
exactly.
your hands, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really fascinating. That's something that in all my years, I just noticed that.
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
Tell me, what's been the challenge with the current model that you have?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's it's a lot of things, but it's mainly like to begin with, at least, it was like getting people to actually see the work that I've done, and
Yeah,
like especially starting out, you want to be able to kind of penetrate the market, so having low prices, but it's really hard when you start out having low prices to then have, when you're getting your business going, to actually then try and raise the prices is a lot harder than starting out at a reasonable price and then maybe getting cheaper as you get more efficient. But yeah, it's kind of that growth mindset is something that I just really struggle with, and
mm,
I I really don't have a brain for business. So like I'd make a big table or something, and or I'd be quoting for a table, and I'd think, oh geez, I couldn't afford a $4,000 table, so I'll just give it to him for three or something like that.
yeah, 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 yeah.
And it's just so hard to get out of that kind of mindset, and also be confident enough in yourself to be able to charge that what it's actually worth in time and
Yeah,
labor. And then also thinking about
yeah,
you need to grow the business, so you want some profit on top of that as well.
yeah. It's so fascinating you say that. It's like oftentimes, makers, woodworkers don't, like, a lot of our own beliefs come into play into our business that we often undervalue. One, because we don't often feel like we deserve it.
Mm-hmm.
And then potentially sometimes it's, our own issues or challenges. I'm not saying this is the case with you, but like our own issues as it relates to money,
Mm-hmm.
uh, like not being able to fully, and this is stuff that I see with my clients. And then, I've also known people that are like, I would be doing this for free. I love it so much. So
Yeah.
they like almost like give it away because there's the pleasure of um, of getting your work in people's hands because you
Yeah.
love it so much and you're so proud of it. Uh, what's been one of the most rewarding parts of doing your business and since moving back? So it seems like you're like in this transition phase where
Yeah.
you're, building this business. You have your future where you want to go, but then you have this business which is always part of what you're doing. Like
Mm.
what's been the most rewarding aspect of it?
Um, I think just the times when you make something that you've put your like all of your you've done it the best that you can, and
Mm-hmm.
putting it in someone's home and knowing that they're going to be using it for generations, and it's going to weather and it's going to get dings, and like a big dining table that you sit at, and your family will um, be able to hand it down to the other generations, and you eat at it and do your homework
Yeah.
on it and all of that kind of stuff. It's like it's a little piece of you. I feel like whenever I make something, a little part of myself goes into it, and it's really rewarding to see like the look on people's faces when they see the product that they've only seen on a digital model or something, and putting it
Yeah.
into their home, and it's perfect for that space. And yeah, there's always a reward in making things in and of itself. And then the fact that people are willing to invest in you and in the time that you
Mm-hmm.
spend on it, is, yeah, that's probably what is most rewarding for me. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
What 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 do you love to do? Like what kind of products would you love? What's the thing that you absolutely love doing that people will pay you gladly for, and is the most profitable?
yeah, I think probably, well, at the moment, dining tables is
Yeah.
like big slab dining tables. I made one, it was about a year ago this month,
Okay.
where it was a huge, the biggest table I'd worked on at that point was a huge, big blue gum slab,
Mm-hmm.
and just yeah, the I welded up some steel legs for it, and it was almost like a little sort of display of this piece of wood that's um, been growing in the Australian bush for I don't know how many, maybe 100 or something, 120 years,
Yeah.
and then seeing it come to life and knowing that it hasn't just been um, you know chipped up or made into firewood or something, and something that potentially could just be garbage or thrown out has been made
Yeah.
into something beautiful and practical. And that's one thing that I love doing about woodworking, is turning something into like something that's could be potentially useless and turning it into something beautiful and practical that tells a story. I
Yeah.
feel like I kind of got a little bit of that from my performing arts background. Is the story behind the piece itself is what really add or creates the value for me, is knowing that it's got like either the materials came from somewhere really interesting, or they've been recycled, or this is the tree that grew in my backyard and I've milled it down, and now my kids can sit at it and have their dinner on this tree that I planted, or my grandfather planted, or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
What's I'm just curious, what other, you just mentioned species, like what are the sort of dominant species that are local to you?
Yeah, we've got quite a few native species, especially around in this area of Queensland. There's a species called blackbutt that I work a lot with, which is a
Black butt?
eucalypt. Yeah, blackbutt with two T's at the end, and
Okay.
it's yeah, it's a eucalypt. There's a lot of eucalypts. There's so many different kinds of eucalypts in Australia, and they're all native. And there's actually one right there. There's a big slab of spotted gum, which is also eucalypt.
Okay.
Um,
How is it?
and
Is it dense?
it's extremely dense. If you think maple is hard, this is like, yeah.
Yeah.
I just recently sharpened one of my really nice chisels to like razor
Uh,
sharp, and then went to like do an inlay or something in this slab of blackbutt.
yeah.
Two hammer blows, and the end of the chisel was like just shattered. It's
Wow.
so hard. But it's beautiful, and when you get really good sharp tools, you can make it look really beautiful. So yeah, eucalypts. Silky oak is another one that I use a lot, which is actually not an oak. It's a grevillea.
Okay.
And Tasmanian oak, which is also not an oak. It's a eucalypt as well.
Fascinating.
Yeah. There's heaps of really cool natives, and a lot of furniture makers here even
Mm-hmm.
strictly use Australian natives and nothing else.
Mm.
So, and I really like that idea. Although I have been working with American oak quite a lot recently, and I love using that too. But yeah,
Does it grow there, or do you import? Or did
yeah, we import it from. I think there was a supplier in Alaska
Okay.
that that furniture shop just not far from me was using this American oak from Alaska, and it was this had this really deep, rich color.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure where the supplier that I use gets theirs from. But we use a little bit of Doug fir sometimes,
Uh-huh.
especially in construction.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah,
That's
and we've got
cool.
a Western red cedar here, but it's not like yours. It's not a conifer. It's actually a rainforest tree that we call Western red cedar here, and it's got this like
Is it
really.
soft?
It is very very soft,
Yeah.
but it's probably one of the most beautiful ones because it's got this really rich, kind of
Red.
sometimes red and pinky color, and it's really good for carving. A lot of wood carvers use it.
And it smells too?
It does, yeah. It smells a lot like a cedar that
Cedar.
you'd grow over there in America, but I think it's a completely different genus of tree.
I mean, isn't wood fascinating?
Yeah, yeah, it is. I love it. I love it. And I'm a big
Um,
plant guy as well. I love plants and bonsai and learning about different species of plants.
on your Instagram, I'm looking at your stuff and you have a really good sense of branding, like consistent colors, like your highlights and you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it just looks really good. And your logo looks tight. It looks just everything. Where did
Oh,
that come
thanks.
from? Was that you or did you work with a
Yeah.
design company to do that?
No, that was all me. Aside from maybe the the inclusion of the little kind of little tags, little name tags on some of the thumbnails
Mm-hmm.
of uh, my grid. That came from the social media manager that I had. But like the
Sure.
colors and the font and the website, like I I got my sister to design a website for me, and I kind of used that as a base in terms of the actual structure of it. But then I came back in and changed all the branding and the position of the logo and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I designed the logo. I went with that color, that sage color, and yeah, just tried to keep something that uh, was fresh and looked contemporary because I want to be known for contemporary work, contemporary
Yeah.
furniture,
Yeah.
and kind of yeah, something that uh, kind of showed what my business was all about, and that kind of inclusion of the environmental factor of using reclaimed and recycled timber and sustainably sourced timber. So yeah, all that
Cool.
kind of branding
It
was
looks really good. It looks really,
thanks,
really good. I mean,
thanks.
it's a little, I look at brands all day. I look at um, Instagrams and like see what folks are doing, and it's you are ahead of a lot of folks.
Thanks,
Even the
thanks.
photography is really tight.
That
Um,
was one of the challenges is actually trying to get some good photos because uh, I didn't necessarily want to fork out the money for a photographer all the time. So yeah, I've slowly just been getting a little bit better, bit by bit
mhm.
in terms of the photography. Yeah.
So tell me, this is the part of the podcast where I give you any marketing or business advice. And so, is there anything that you need help with, uh, or any advice that you need that I could help you with?
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, yeah, there's a lot of things. I'm still only so early in my business journey, but I really like to start growing. Not only, well, yeah, I'd like to start growing the business. So the space that I'm in right now, I'm really lucky that my parents are so supportive, and I'm able to use their property and use the shed that's on their property. But it's been a real struggle, especially with bigger stuff recently. And so I'm really looking to actually get a commercial space, and even in
Like a
part
showroom or a storefront?
No, no, like a space to like a workshop that's got a bigger floor space, like an industrial warehouse or something that's bigger than just a little bit bigger than a two-car garage.
Yeah.
And so, but at this point in my business, like I probably like to get a space the size that I want in this area is
Mm-hmm.
roughly about like say $1,000 a day. But if I'm only earning like $100 a day spare to have that
Mm-hmm.
spare at the end of the day, how does someone who wants to go from just like they're working out of their garage to actually being in a commercial workshop and starting to hire employees and that kind of stuff, to go
You
that
want to build something
transition
real. You want to build
from the
something big,
garage
right?
to a workshop. Yeah, yeah.
What's the name of your town?
It's called Montville.
How do you
um,
spell it? Uh-huh.
Montville, and that Sunshine Coast area. um,
Sunshine Coast, is that what they call it?
yeah, that's sort of
Okay. I don't know,
where
I'm just
everything
kind of
is.
doing some research on your area
Sure.
really quick. And you call it Sunshine Coast, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Sunshine Coast. So the question that you have is how do you grow
yeah. How
how do you grow your business outside of like your small
Yeah. So
uh
how does a woodworker go from just being working out of their garage to then being able to take that leap to actually um, get a commercial space?
okay, so here's the thing. For the first thing is what you want to do is figure out, you remember the question I had asked you is like, what is the thing that you'd love to do? What do people love from you? And what's the most profitable? And what did you answer?
It's probably dining tables.
It was dining tables, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So for you, I would focus on dining tables.
Hmm.
And I'm looking at your Facebook uh, profile right here. Um, Not your Facebook profile. So most folks that listen to our podcast know that I'm a big fan of leveraging your personal Facebook page. And let me see if I could show you. Let me see if I could show you a uh, like what I'm looking at, because the biggest thing honestly is you need to make sure that you are speaking to an audience,
Hmm.
and your audience needs to understand your mission, your vision, your values, right? And so what you're doing when it comes to your product or service is that you have to make sure that you're solving a problem for them. Um, Another question is, do you have the capability of doing cabinets or built-ins at all?
Well, that was one of the reasons why I wanted a bigger space, is because I've done a couple of cabinets, um, and they haven't really turned out the way that I wanted them to,
Yeah,
mainly because of the small scale tools and the small area that I've got in my shop.
for
Um,
sure.
and
I really like cabinets because
yeah,
how much are you selling tables for?
um, a big dining table is probably 4 grand.
Yeah, so is it, well, okay. I, is there a rich neighborhood within your area that you can target?
Yeah, I'd say Noosa. If you've ever heard of Noosa, that's like where
How
all
do
the
you say
beautiful
it?
people live.
How do you
Noosa,
spell it?
Noosa. There's quite a few dining table companies that are there already as well.
Oh,
So
it
it'd be
doesn't
a
matter. If you come in a little bit lower than them,
yeah.
that would so I'm looking at Noosa.
Hmm.
Um, like there's a group. Um, there's so I just went to like Sunshine Coast,
Hmm.
Sunshine Coast, Australia on Facebook, and there's 10,000. Let me see if I could share my screen. So share. screen. Um, okay. All right, can you see my screen?
No. Yeah. Oh, yes, I can now.
Okay. So the way I like to look at it, and this is kind of for everybody that's looking, is you got to pick an area from here and you can look at. So for me, 10,000 is a pretty, that's a pretty good list. Even here is what's on Sunshine Coast events. That's 33,000 people, right? Sunshine
Mm.
Coast attractions to do like 9,000 views. So you have 53,000 people that you could be targeting. And the biggest thing, and even look, job boards, people that just moved to the area that might need dining tables, Sunshine Coast, um, like Sunshine Coast Australia real estate. I would look here. I'm in Chicago. So I would look for real estate agents in the area.
Mm.
Look at pages. And so the biggest thing that you want to do once Sunshine Coast. Um, the other thing too is um, dining tables are basically uh, conference tables, but in a dining room.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
you could be targeting businesses for
Yeah.
conference
Right.
tables as
Yep.
well. Um, and so that's the first thing that I would do is like focus and market yourself as a dining table and a conference table maker in the Sunshine Coast.
Yeah.
Update your meta tags, start blogging about it, start building about it, like start just literally only focus on that. Only focus. And it's super scary for folks,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that I would do is with cutoffs or anything, make charcuterie and cutting, but literally give them away to business owners.
Sure.
And I would target uh, entrepreneurs and business owners. Another thing that you could do is desks.
Mm-hmm.
And so what you want to do is like literally zero in on the type of person that would buy a dining room table and buy a conference table and buy a desk and become friends with them on Facebook personal
Yeah.
page.
Yep.
Friend everybody that is like that. Go to Fiverr and go to Upwork and hire somebody to scrape a list of all of those types of business owners that fit that. Find them on um I would go to Instagram and I would look at the um hashtag, let me just see if it's go Sunshine Coast businesses. So Sunshine Coast business. Uh, so let me show my screen again. Next time we talk, your business is going to be different.
Mm. I'm sure it is.
So look, Sunshine Coast. You see this right here?
Yep.
Hashtag sun hunts. You could do look. Sunshine Coast entrepreneurs. But that's not a lot of people. Sunshine Coast business. See right there, Sunshine Coast business hashtag
Yeah.
173,000. Sunshine Coast. If I do this, Sunshine Coast business Business Women, 9,800 right there. Sunshine Coast Women's Network, 1,200 people. So here's the thing. You go here. Look at this. You know where Maluba is?
Oh yes, Malulabar, yeah.
Where is that? Is that near you?
It's close. It's about 40 minutes away. But yeah, that's like near the central business district.
So look at this. Like this is a hair studio. I'd contact them and I would say, hey, look, do you need a coffee table for your reception area? I would be happy to give you a quote. Here is what I can build. Period. DM them. You understand what I'm saying? And the
Yeah.
fact that you have 25,000 Instagram followers and beautiful work is a gives social proof, right? So look, Sunshine Living and Tile Stone. Let's see these guys. Entrepreneur, Stone Master. This person's customers, he's serving people that are renovating their house. Do you think those people, if they're making renovations, would more likely want a dining room table or potentially a built-in?
Mhm.
Do you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
What else? I'll just go to the last three. So this is how I look at things. Let's look at this guy. Clara Nutrition, maybe collaborate with her somehow. Ariel Evolution, so it's like a silk spot. They might need a reception area. This coastal carpet, planks. You know, they're like re-putting carpets in living rooms and dining rooms. What do you think they need?
Mhm.
Right? You can set up a relationship with them. Fresh nail studio, reception desk, uh, coffee waiting room, side tables. Um, yeah, like all of these places, you could be doing built outs for all of them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's what I would do. Focus on dining tables, focus on business owners, focus on the people that are serving your customers. And all you have to do is just send 50 messages a day, 25 in the morning, 25 in the evening. Continue building, build a personal brand on Facebook, friend every single person that is your ideal target customer. Because, like on Facebook, you can have 5,000 friends. And the difference is if we're friends on Facebook and you're friends on if we're Instagram people, if you follow me and I don't follow you, you only see my stuff and I never see your stuff. But on Facebook, if we're friends, I see your stuff, you see my stuff. And so that's kind of the way that I would do it. I bet you if you send out 50 messages a day, so I'll do the math. 50 messages a day times 30. That's 1,500 people that you can reach out to. If you convert 1% of them, that's 15 people. Let's just say out of those people, you're able to actually quote something. Let's say you send a quote to 15 people. I'm sorry, 15 people. You send a quote to 7 people, to 50% of them where you can actually send a quote to. And then out of those 7 people, you convert 3, right? You convert 2 of those people, and you have a table where you're selling them for 5 to 7 grand each, and you're forming a relationship with them. You're sending out 1,500 messages to get 10 grand in projects. And that's just 1 week. There were 142,000 posts. There are 50,000 people on Facebook that you could be reaching out to. So you have more than enough market, you have more than enough opportunity, you have the skills, and that's how you start to like gain the leverage. What you actually need to do is the first thing you need to do is like raise your prices. I would raise my prices to 5,000 minimum for a table. 5,000 minimum. Coffee tables minimum 2,500. Go for the higher end. You get 3 tables in a month and 2 coffee tables. 15 plus 5 is $20,000. Now you have a $250,000 a year business. So that's what I would do. Like you have a lot of meat and opportunities, and it's a lot of things that that woodpreneurs don't realize is how much is actually in their backyard.
Mm.
Like you have a lot of opportunity. And I like the idea of selling to other businesses. You sell to other businesses, the conversation is different. It's
Yeah,
very
totally.
different
Yeah.
because you're not trying to get people that are penny pinching. You're not trying to get people that are tire kicking, trying to beat you down on price. Just go for businesses. And as you build the business to business relationships, your brand can start to develop to start targeting residential people.
Mm.
So that's how you do it. Is that helpful?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It gives me a good direction.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the direction that I would go
Yeah.
with your work. But yeah, literally don't stop. I mean, I would even take some of the excess money and hire a virtual assistant. Like do it for a week or
Mm.
two, 25 in the morning, 25 in the evening, right? Maybe do, instead of maybe 50, do 40, 20 in the morning, 20 in the evening. Friend 20 people in the morning on Facebook, 20 people in the evening. So I would do the DMing on Instagram, and on Facebook, I would do friend 50 people a day, join the groups, participate, all of that sort of stuff, and then
Mm.
go all in. That's how I would do it. It's a lot of people think like, oh my God, it's so hard. Like it's not that hard unless you know your numbers. Raise your prices, focus on one product, focus on a particular type of audience, and go all in. Don't stop. Literally don't stop. Is that cool?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome, man. Well, I thanks so much for taking the time to talk. I'm excited to see where you go with your business and everything. So, can you tell what's your website and Instagram so folks can follow you?
Yeah, my Instagram handle is at Ben Adams Furniture, and the website is www.benadams.studio.
Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. Well, Ben, thank you so much again, and I look forward to getting this episode out. All
Yeah,
right,
thank you, Steve. It's been a pleasure. Thanks so much.
all right, all right. Take care.
Cheers.